Zalia stood at the edge of the training ground, her arms crossed over her chest and a small smile of disbelief on her lips. Around her, dozens of young alien warriors practiced combat drills, moving with precision and discipline. The metallic clang of weapons striking shields echoed across the field. Every movement was perfect, calculated, and strong. Yet Zalia's mind wandered to the stories she had grown up hearing. Stories of humans. Humans, according to legend, were tiny, weak creatures compared to the Zrithians. Yet somehow they had survived in the galaxy, even fighting against beings far larger and stronger than themselves. Zalia had always laughed at these tales. A human warrior? The idea was amusing. They were storytellers' inventions, nothing more. "Commander Zalia," said her assistant, a young alien named Rith, bowing slightly. "The humans have arrived. The delegation has landed at the spaceport. Captain Ethan Drake will be among them." Zalia raised an eyebrow. Ethan Drake. The name sounded ordinary, human. Ordinary and weak, she thought, her smile widening. "Very well," she replied. "Let's see what this human looks like. Perhaps I can find this legendary courage they speak of, or laugh even louder." By the time Zalia arrived at the spaceport, the human delegation had already stepped onto the landing platform. Her sharp eyes scanned the group. There were several humans dressed in practical uniforms, their movements careful but confident. And then she saw him, Ethan Drake. He walked with a calm, steady pace, his posture straight, his eyes alert. There was no sign of fear, no hesitation, and oddly enough, no arrogance either. Zalia tilted her head, examining him closely. He was taller than most humans she had imagined, lean but not bulky, and his hands looked capable, not weak at all. Yet, in the culture of the Zrithians, humans were expected to be inferior. She stepped forward, determined to see if this human warrior was real, or if he would embarrass himself. "Welcome to Zrith," she said, her voice smooth and controlled, though a hint of amusement laced her tone. "I am Commander Zalia. I will be observing your delegation while you are here. You may follow me." Ethan nodded respectfully, though there was a quiet confidence in his manner. "Thank you, Commander. I look forward to learning from your people." Zalia's lips twitched. Learning from Zrithians? Surely this human had no idea what he was facing. She led the group across the city, through corridors polished to a metallic shine, and into the heart of the training grounds. Here the alien warriors practiced every day, perfecting their reflexes, their agility, and their strength. "Watch closely," Zalia said to her delegation. "These are the skills of true warriors." She gestured to a pair of elite fighters sparring. Their movements were flawless. Every strike, every block precise, every step calculated. Sparks flew as their blades collided. Ethan watched quietly, his eyes tracking the fighters. Zalia noticed that he did not flinch at the flashes of light or the ringing of metal. He seemed calm, unshaken. "Interesting," he said softly. Zalia frowned. "Interesting? That is all you can say? This is the pinnacle of combat skill." He turned to her with a small smile. "It isn't impressive, but it looks very rigid. I wonder how it would hold up if the opponent did something unexpected." Zalia laughed outright. "Unexpected? My dear human, these warriors can predict movements before they even happen. You underestimate us." Ethan did not argue. He simply observed, his gaze sharp, assessing. Zalia found herself watching him in return, curious about this human who dared speak without fear or awe. Over the next hour, Zalia introduced Ethan to various drills. Humans were allowed to try simple exercises, though everyone assumed they would fail quickly. Ethan moved carefully, mimicking the motions of the aliens, but he also improvised slightly, adjusting angles, timing his steps differently. He stumbled occasionally, but he recovered with ease, never giving up. The crowd of young warriors snickered quietly at his errors, but Zalia's amusement began to fade. There was potential in him, something she could not name. "Enough observation," Zalia finally said. "If you are truly a warrior human, you will face one of our elite trainees in a duel. A simple test." Murmurs spread through the group. Everyone expected the human to fail spectacularly. No human could match a Zrithian elite warrior. Not in strength, speed, or skill. Ethan looked calm. "I accept," he said. The elite trainee stepped forward, a towering alien named Corinne. His armor gleamed, and his blade seemed almost alive in his hands. He bowed slightly to Ethan, a gesture of courtesy in their culture. "I hope you are prepared, human," he said, his voice deep and steady. Ethan nodded. "I am ready." The duel began. At first, it seemed exactly as everyone expected. Corin's strikes were fast, strong, and precise. Ethan dodged awkwardly at first, taking steps back, barely avoiding the sharp edges. The audience held their breath. Surely he would be struck down in moments. But then something surprising happened. Ethan began to anticipate Corin's moves not through raw speed, but through clever timing and observation. He ducked, sidestepped, and even used Corin's own momentum against him. A swing aimed at Ethan was redirected in a way that barely tapped Corin's armor, surprising the young warrior. Zalia's eyes widened. She had never seen a human fight like this, not with strength alone, but with intelligence, speed, and adaptability. He moved differently from anyone she had trained with. Each motion was efficient, purposeful, and unexpected. Corin's strikes became more cautious. The elite warrior adjusted, trying to regain control, but Ethan stayed one step ahead. He did not overpower Corin with brute force, he outsmarted him. Every move, every reaction seemed to anticipate the next strike. The duel ended not with a defeat, but with Corin stepping back, lowering his weapon and nodding in respect. "You are skilled," he admitted. "More skilled than I expected." The audience was silent. Shock filled their faces. No human had ever shown such competence. Whispers spread quickly through the training ground. Zalia's laughter had disappeared. Her mind raced, trying to process what she had just seen. Ethan approached her calmly. "Thank you, Commander," he said politely. "Your warriors are excellent. It was an honor to test myself against them." Zalia studied him. He was not arrogant nor boastful. He had faced an elite warrior, used his mind and instincts, and emerged without humiliating his opponent. And he had done it calmly, with respect. For the first time, Zalia felt something she had never felt about humans: curiosity. And perhaps a hint of admiration. That night she could not sleep. She replayed the duel over and over in her mind. How had a human done what she considered impossible? How had he outmaneuvered a warrior trained since birth to be perfect in combat? She thought about the legends, about the tales that she had mocked, and for the first time, she wondered if the stories were true, if humans really were warriors in their own way. The next day promised new challenges. Zalia had decided that she must see more. She needed to understand how humans fought, how they thought, and what made them so unexpectedly formidable. If the humans were as capable as Ethan Drake had shown, perhaps the galaxy had underestimated them. Perhaps the legends were not lies after all. As she prepared to greet the human delegation again, Zalia could not hide a small smile. The laughter that had once filled her heart when thinking of humans was gone. In its place was curiosity, respect, and a growing sense of anticipation. The real test, she realized, was only beginning, because if a human could fight like this, what else could they do? And Zalia was determined to find out. The next morning, Zalia waited at the central training arena. Sunlight glinted off the polished floors, and the sound of weapons clashing filled the air. Today was not a simple duel. Today, the humans would face their first real test, one that would challenge both their courage and intelligence. Ethan Drake arrived with his delegation, calm and composed as always. Zalia noticed the subtle confidence in his movements. He did not rush, nor did he hesitate. The humans carried no fear. They carried preparation. That alone intrigued her. Today, Zalia announced to the gathered warriors, the humans will participate in a team exercise. It is designed to test strategy, speed, and adaptability. Failure will not be punished with shame. It will simply reveal their limits. The alien warriors murmured among themselves. Many still doubted the humans could perform, especially in a team of mixed species. After all, humans were said to be weak and slow. But Zalia had seen something yesterday that gave her pause, a spark of ingenuity, a skill beyond the norm. Your task, Zalia continued, is to navigate a simulated combat zone. Obstacles, traps, and enemy units will be present. Your goal is to reach the center and secure the flag without being defeated. Human delegates, follow Ethan. Elite warriors, follow your assigned leaders. Ethan nodded, acknowledging the instructions. He gathered his group, quietly assigning roles. Each human had a skill. Some were fast, some strong, some intelligent and quick-thinking. Unlike the aliens, they did not rely solely on training. They adapted. As the exercise began, the arena transformed into a chaotic battlefield. Smoke drifted from simulated explosions. Robotic drones designed to mimic enemy soldiers patrolled the zone. Moving unpredictably, Walls could shift positions, creating new obstacles. The challenge was complex, and many aliens immediately fell into rigid patterns, moving as they had been taught, predictable and slow. Ethan's team moved differently. They paused at intersections, studied the drone's patterns, and used the environment to their advantage. When a drone approached from a blind spot, a human soldier rolled under its path and disabled it with a precise strike. When a trap triggered, another human improvised a way to redirect it safely. Zalia watched from above, her arms crossed. The aliens around her whispered in disbelief. One by one, the humans navigated obstacles that had confounded the best-trained Zrithian warriors. Yet what impressed her most was Ethan. He did not simply lead. He observed, adapted, and communicated. When a drone blocked a narrow passage, he did not charge blindly. Instead, he signaled two of his teammates to flank it while he created a distraction. The plan worked perfectly, and the team advanced without harm. Zalia felt her skepticism slipping. Humans were not stronger than Zrithians in raw combat, but they were clever, resourceful, and unafraid to take risks. She realized the stories she had laughed at might have had a grain of truth. A sudden alert sounded in the arena. One of the elite alien teams had set an ambush near the center. Corin, the warrior Ethan had faced yesterday, led the attack. He moved with lethal precision, expecting to overwhelm the humans quickly. Ethan noticed immediately. He did not panic. Instead, he raised his hand, signaling a defensive formation. "Spread out, use cover, keep moving," he instructed. His voice was calm, almost soothing, but every word carried authority. The humans scattered, taking positions behind walls, pillars, and debris. Ethan moved in the open, baiting the drones and alien warriors toward traps he had identified earlier. When a projectile flew at one of his teammates, Ethan dove, intercepting it with a metal rod and redirecting it safely. Zalia's jaw tightened. She had trained warriors for years, but she had never seen such instinct combined with clever thinking. The human did not rely on strength. He relied on anticipation, improvisation, and observation. Corin adjusted his strategy, now focusing on Ethan directly. He advanced with speed, swinging his blade with deadly accuracy. Ethan did not dodge in a straight line or follow predictable patterns. He twisted, ducked, and even used the environment, rolling behind a pillar, flipping a crate toward Corin's path, and then slipping through a narrow opening. The alien audience gasped. A human was outmaneuvering one of the finest warriors on Zrith. Whispers of disbelief spread quickly. "Impossible," one muttered. "No human can fight like that," yet it was happening. And Zalia could not look away. The simulation became more dangerous. Multiple drones converged, forcing Ethan to divide his attention. He coordinated his team with precise instructions. "Two flank left, one cover the right, I'll draw them here." Every move was deliberate, efficient, and effective. Humans who had been tentative at first now acted with confidence, inspired by Ethan's calm leadership. When Corin tried to corner Ethan near a pit filled with simulated acid, Ethan did not panic. He leapt, grabbing a rope hanging from above, swinging over the hazard and landing behind Corin. With a swift motion, he tapped Corin on the shoulder, signaling a non-lethal defeat according to the rules. The simulation ended, and silence fell over the arena. Then slowly the alien audience erupted into murmurs of astonishment. Corin himself bowed to Ethan. "Your skills, they are extraordinary," he admitted. "I underestimated you." Zalia descended from her observation platform, her mind racing. She approached Ethan, her expression serious but tinged with newfound respect. "Human, your skills are unlike anything I have seen. Tell me, how do you fight like this?" Ethan smiled faintly. "We rely on observation, quick thinking, and teamwork. We do not always match our enemies in strength, but we adapt and use what we have." Zalia studied him closely. There was no arrogance, no boastfulness, just confidence, intelligence, and calm determination. "Adaptation, cleverness, courage," she murmured. Perhaps the stories were true. For hours afterward, Zalia and Ethan debriefed the exercise. She asked questions, observing his thought process and reasoning. Ethan explained how he anticipated threats, managed resources, and guided his team through danger. Every explanation made Zalia's admiration grow. By evening, Zalia's skepticism had completely vanished. The laughter she had once felt toward humans was replaced with curiosity and respect. She began to see them not as weak creatures, but as warriors in their own right. Different from Zrithians, yes, but formidable in ways she had never imagined. That night, Zalia could not sleep. She replayed the day's events in her mind. The humans' courage, intelligence, and adaptability left a lasting impression. She thought about the galaxy and the stories she had mocked. Perhaps humans had survived not because of raw strength, but because of ingenuity and determination. Her thoughts drifted to Ethan. He had faced elite warriors, unpredictable dangers, and chaotic situations, yet he had never faltered. His calm presence and ability to inspire those around him reminded her of a leader she had only read about in ancient Zrithian texts, one who could turn impossible situations into victories. Zalia realized something important. The humans were not legends to laugh at. They were real, and their skills were worth studying. If the galaxy continued to underestimate them, it could be dangerous for anyone who faced them in battle. And perhaps, she thought with a spark of excitement, there was more to learn from them than she could ever imagine. As the moon rose over the city of Zrith, Zalia made a quiet promise to herself. She would not only observe the humans, she would understand them. Their tactics, their courage, their strange and unexpected ways of fighting. She would uncover the secrets behind their success, because tomorrow, she knew, the real challenge would begin, and she was ready to face it. The next morning, Zalia led Ethan and his human delegation to a new arena, one far larger and more complex than the previous training grounds. Today, the exercise was no longer a simple simulation. It was a team battlefield challenge that tested courage, strategy, and trust. The arena was a sprawling area filled with rocky terrain, shifting walls, and artificial hazards designed to simulate real combat. Drones and automated obstacles patrolled every corner, creating a dangerous environment. Today, Zalia announced, her voice echoing across the arena, humans and Zrithians will work together. Cooperation is key. The goal is to reach the central platform and secure the energy core while avoiding or neutralizing threats. The assembled warriors, both alien and human, exchanged nervous glances. Some of the Zrithians still doubted the humans' abilities. They had seen Ethan fight, yes, but one duel did not prove a species worth in battle. Ethan observed silently, his calm demeanor unchanging. He gathered his human team, quickly assigning roles based on each member's strength. One would scout, another provide cover while he led the advance and coordinated with the aliens. He was calm, confident, and ready. Zalia watched closely. For the first time, she noticed that leadership was more than brute strength or skill. It was about understanding people, knowing their abilities, and using them effectively. Ethan understood this instinctively. The battlefield challenge began. Immediately, chaos erupted. Drones moved unpredictably, walls shifted, and hazards appeared without warning. Many Zrithian warriors charged forward confidently, relying on training alone. Almost immediately, they stumbled into traps or found themselves outmaneuvered by the drones. Ethan's team, however, moved differently. They advanced carefully, scanning the environment, improvising when obstacles appeared. When a trap was triggered, a human rolled to safety and disabled it for the team. When drones approached from multiple angles, Ethan instructed his team to split, flank, and distract the enemies, allowing everyone to advance without harm. Zalia could not hide her amazement. She had trained Zrithian warriors for decades, yet she had never seen such quick adaptation and improvisation. The humans did not fight like Zrithians, they fought like predators, observing and responding, always thinking 2 steps ahead. A sudden alarm rang through the arena. A squad of elite Zrithian warriors, led by Corin, had been assigned to intercept the humans. The simulation now felt real. Corin moved quickly, cutting off a narrow path with his team. Ethan observed the situation calmly. "Take cover," he instructed. "I will draw their attention, and the rest of you flank left and right. Move silently and stay coordinated." Zalia's eyes widened. She had never seen a human command like this in a real combat scenario. While the Zrithians relied on raw skill, Ethan relied on intelligence, planning, and teamwork. He advanced openly, baiting Corin's team. As expected, the elite warriors charged toward him, confident in their superior strength and speed. Ethan dodged, rolled, and used the environment cleverly, sliding behind boulders, pushing debris to slow their pursuit, and using traps to his advantage. Every move was precise and purposeful. Meanwhile, the human team flanked Corin's forces, quietly disabling drones and creating obstacles. The Zrithians were caught off guard. They had trained to fight as individuals and as a disciplined unit. but they had never faced opponents who thought so unpredictably. Zalia observed from above, her heart racing. Humans were not just holding their ground, they were outsmarting elite Zrithian warriors. She had doubted them yesterday, laughed at the stories she had grown up with, but now she could see clearly. Humans were a species built for survival through intelligence, courage, and adaptability. The battle intensified. One of the drones fired a projectile directly at a human teammate. Ethan reacted instantly, intercepting it with a metal pipe and deflecting it safely. He then shouted instructions to his team. Use the high ground. Keep moving. Every command was precise and every action effective. Corin realized he could not overpower Ethan in direct combat. Frustration flickered across his face. The human was too clever, too adaptable, and too calm under pressure. Corin tried to trap Ethan in a narrow canyon, but Ethan anticipated the move. Using a loose boulder, he triggered a landslide that blocked the canyon and created a new path for his team to advance. The humans reached the center platform first. Ethan signaled his team to secure the energy core. At the same time, Zrithian warriors who had doubted humans began to take notice. One by one, they started observing Ethan's strategies, mimicking his techniques. They realized that raw strength alone could not guarantee success against unpredictable challenges. Zalia felt a mixture of pride and surprise. The humans were not just surviving, they were teaching her warriors. Without speaking, that intelligence, teamwork, and courage were as valuable as any traditional skill. Suddenly, a group of rogue drones attacked from above, dropping from elevated platforms. Ethan acted without hesitation. "Cover me!" he shouted. Sprinting forward, he rolled under their path, using a fallen pillar to shield his team. He threw a small device that temporarily disabled the drones, giving his team a chance to regroup. Zalia was amazed. The humans moved in perfect synchronization, adapting to changing threats with ease. Where Zrithians relied on training, humans relied on instincts, observation, and innovation. The final phase of the challenge approached, a direct confrontation with Corin himself. The elite warrior had recovered from the earlier setbacks and charged toward Ethan, attempting to block the path to the energy core. Ethan did not back down. Instead, he assessed Corin's movements carefully. As Corin struck, Ethan sidestepped, grabbed a metallic rod from the environment, and redirected Corin's attack. Then, with precise timing, he used Corin's momentum against him, sending the elite warrior sliding past the core without causing harm. The humans claimed victory. The simulation ended, and silence fell over the arena. Then slowly, the alien warriors erupted into murmurs of astonishment. Many who had doubted the humans yesterday were now watching them with awe. Zalia descended from her observation platform. Her expression was serious, but she could not hide the spark of respect in her eyes. She approached Ethan. "You have shown extraordinary skill today," she said, "not just in combat, but in leadership and strategy. Your species, I underestimated you." Ethan smiled politely. "Thank you, Commander. We rely on teamwork, observation, and adaptation. We do not always have the strength of others, but we make up for it with intelligence and courage." Zalia nodded slowly. She had learned something important. Humans fought differently, but they were no less capable. Perhaps she thought they could even teach Zrithians new ways of thinking about combat. That evening, Zalia gathered her elite warriors for a discussion. She shared her observations and emphasized the value of intelligence, teamwork, and adaptability. Many of the younger warriors were inspired, realizing that courage and skill were not only measured in strength but in strategy, quick thinking, and heart. Zalia's thoughts drifted to Ethan again. She realized that the human's abilities were not just surprising, they were a glimpse into a new kind of warrior. One who could survive and thrive against impossible odds, who could lead and inspire others, and who could challenge traditions without disrespect. For the first time, Zalia saw humans not as myths or amusing stories, but as equals, warriors worthy of respect and perhaps allies in the challenges the galaxy would bring. As the city of Zrith fell silent under the night sky, Zalia made a quiet promise to herself. She would learn more from these humans. She would understand their strategies, their courage, and the way they inspired those around them. If the galaxy was to face greater dangers, humans could be the key to survival, and she would be ready to stand beside them. Tomorrow, she knew, would bring an even greater test. The humans had proven their skill in simulations, but real threats required more than clever tactics. They demanded bravery, endurance, and the ability to adapt under pressure. Zalia was ready to see if humans could truly live up to their legends, and she had a feeling that they would not just survive, they would excel. The morning sun rose over Zrith's rugged landscape, casting long shadows across the training grounds that had now transformed into a mock battlefield. But this was no ordinary exercise. Today's challenge was different. The rogue drones had gone beyond simulation. They were fully active, unpredictable, and far more dangerous than anything Ethan and his team had faced before. Zalia stood on a rocky ledge, her keen eyes scanning the battlefield. Her heart raced with anticipation. The humans had proven themselves in simulations, but this was a real test. Every moment would require courage, intelligence, and quick thinking. "Ethan Drake," she called, her voice carrying across the field. "This is no longer a simulation. The rogue drones have gone live. Your task is to secure the city's energy core and prevent the drones from advancing. You will have Zrithian support, but your team's survival depends on your strategy." Ethan nodded, calm and focused. "Understood, Commander. We will coordinate with your warriors and secure the objective." The humans and Zrithians formed teams. Zalia noticed that many young alien warriors watched Ethan with growing respect. Even Corin, her elite warrior, now approached Ethan with cautious admiration. The battle began. Rogue drones moved unpredictably, shooting beams and deploying small automated traps. Walls shifted, barriers collapsed, and the landscape itself became a challenge. Many Zrithians charged headfirst, relying on strength and training. Predictably, some stumbled, and a few were pinned temporarily by the drones' attacks. Ethan's team moved differently. They advanced as a unit, constantly communicating and adjusting their movements. When a drone fired a laser, a human rolled behind cover and returned fire, while another teammate disabled the mechanical enemy. Every action was synchronized, every response thoughtful and deliberate. Zalia's eyes widened as she observed Ethan. The human leader did not simply fight, he adapted. He predicted the drone's movements, manipulated the environment, and used clever tactics to give his team an advantage. "Two of you flank left," Ethan instructed. "Cover the central approach. I will draw their attention and create a path for the others." Zalia could hardly believe what she was seeing. The humans were not just surviving. They were controlling the battlefield, turning every hazard into an opportunity. A sudden explosion rocked the field. A large drone had activated a trap, sending a wall tumbling toward one of the human soldiers. In an instant, Ethan sprinted forward, grabbing the soldier and pulling them to safety. He then hurled a nearby metallic crate to block the path, trapping the drone in its own hazard. "Stay sharp," he shouted. "Move to higher ground, we need visibility." The humans climbed a rocky ridge with Zrithian warriors following. From this vantage point, Ethan quickly assessed the battlefield. He saw the drone's movement patterns, the shifting walls, and the positions of both his teammates and the aliens. With calm precision, he directed everyone. "Cover the flanks. Keep drones in sight. I'll lead the push to the energy core." Zalia's admiration grew. No human had ever commanded a battlefield like this in her experience. He combined strategy, courage, and leadership in a way that inspired everyone around him. Suddenly, Corin and a squad of elite Zrithians intercepted Ethan's path. They moved quickly, expecting to overpower the human with superior skill. But Ethan did not panic. Instead, he observed their formation, noted the gaps, and acted. He triggered a small device on the ground, causing a dust cloud to rise and obscure vision. Using the distraction, his team split into two flanking groups. One group moved behind Corin's forces, while the other pressed forward. Ethan sprinted straight into the center, drawing the elite warrior's attention without hesitation. Zalia gasped. The humans were doing what she had thought impossible, outmaneuvering elite Zrithian warriors in open combat. Every move Ethan made was calculated yet fearless. He did not rely on strength alone, he relied on wit, observation, and timing. A large drone launched from above, aiming directly at Ethan. He dove, rolled, and caught a piece of debris, using it as a shield to deflect the attack. Without missing a beat, he vaulted over a barrier and landed behind Corin, disarming a nearby drone in the process. The humans reached the energy core first. Ethan signaled his team to secure it, while he prepared to defend the position. The rogue drones attacked relentlessly, but Ethan and his team held their ground, improvising traps, guiding allies, and coordinating firepower. Zalia watched, her pulse quickening. She had always respected her warrior's skill, but she had never seen a human fight with such intelligence and bravery. He was fearless, not because he was stronger, but because he trusted his instincts, his training, and his team. Corin attempted a final assault, charging directly at Ethan with all his strength. Ethan met him head-on, not with force, but with clever timing. He sidestepped, grabbed Corin's momentum, and redirected it, sending the elite warrior sliding past the energy core without causing harm. The battlefield fell silent. One by one, the drones powered down, neutralized by the humans' strategies and quick thinking. The energy core was safe, and the humans had not only survived, they had turned the tide of the battle. Zalia descended from her observation post, her eyes bright with admiration. She approached Ethan, who was calmly checking on his teammates. "Human, you have exceeded every expectation," she said. "Not just in skill, but in leadership, courage, and intelligence. Your species, I underestimated you." Ethan smiled politely. "Thank you, Commander. We do not rely on strength alone. We observe, adapt, and work together. That is how we survive and succeed." Zalia nodded slowly. She reflected on everything she had seen. Humans were not myths, nor were they weak. They were clever, courageous, and resilient in ways she had never imagined. And they inspired others to rise to their level, teaching lessons without words, simply through action. Corin, approaching Ethan, bowed deeply. "I see now," he admitted. "Humans are not just warriors, they are extraordinary. I misjudged your species." Zalia watched the interaction, feeling a sense of pride mixed with revelation. The humans had proven themselves not by raw strength, but through ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. They had survived challenges that even elite Zrithian warriors struggled to overcome. That evening, as the sun set over Zrith, Zalia gathered her elite warriors for a discussion. She shared her observations and emphasized the value of intelligence, teamwork, and adaptability. Many young warriors were inspired, realizing that courage and skill were measured not only in physical ability but in strategic thinking and quick response under pressure. Zalia's thoughts returned to Ethan. She realized the humans' abilities were more than surprising. They were a glimpse into a new kind of warrior. One who could face impossible odds, inspire allies, and adapt instantly to danger. For the first time in her life, Zalia understood that humans were not just stories to laugh at. They were warriors, strong in heart, mind, and courage. And perhaps, she thought, they could change the galaxy in ways no one expected. As the city of Zrith lay under a sky filled with stars, Zalia made a quiet promise to herself. She would continue learning from these humans. She would understand their tactics, their bravery, and the way they inspired others to fight with courage. The galaxy might be dangerous, but with humans like Ethan, Zrithians had a new reason to hope. Tomorrow, she thought, the real alliance would begin. Humans and Zrithians, working together, could face whatever challenges lay ahead. And with leaders like Ethan, she had no doubt they would not just survive, they would triumph. The laughter she once felt at the tales of human warriors had long disappeared. In its place was respect, admiration, and a deep curiosity. Humans were no longer myths. They were heroes in their own right. The day dawned bright and clear over the city of Zrith. After days of intense training and simulated battles, Zalia felt a shift in the atmosphere. The humans had proven themselves beyond doubt. Their courage, intelligence, and adaptability had surpassed every expectation. But today would be the ultimate test, not a simulation, not a training exercise, but a demonstration of trust, skill, and teamwork on the largest scale yet. "Ethan Drake," Zalia called, her voice calm but firm. "Today we face a coordinated test. The Council has approved a live exercise to prepare for real threats. Humans and Zrithians will operate together. Success requires full cooperation and courage from every warrior present." Ethan nodded, his expression steady. "Understood, Commander. We will work together and protect the city. That is our goal." Zalia watched him carefully. The human leader exuded quiet confidence, a calm strength that inspired even the most skeptical Zrithians. She thought back to the day he had dueled Corin and outsmarted him, and then to the simulations where he had coordinated his team flawlessly. Now she was eager to see him in a challenge that truly tested both humans and Zrithians together. The battlefield had been prepared for the exercise. It was a sprawling area, larger than any training ground before, with rocky ridges, collapsed structures, and multiple paths leading toward a central objective, the city's energy core. Rogue drones were fully operational, their movements unpredictable, and hazard zones shifted throughout the terrain. This exercise would require not just skill but intelligence, timing, and leadership. "Move out," Zalia commanded. "Coordinate your teams. Human delegates follow Ethan. Elite Zrithians stay close to the humans. Remember, strategy and trust are your greatest weapons." The humans and Zrithians advanced together. Chaos erupted almost immediately. Drones patrolled corridors, triggered traps, and blocked paths unexpectedly. Many Zrithian warriors relied on their training, but rigid strategies quickly fell short against such unpredictable threats. Ethan, however, remained calm. He moved steadily, observing every detail, communicating quickly with his team and guiding them through hazards. "Use the environment. Move carefully but quickly. I'll take the lead and the rest cover the flanks," he instructed. Zalia watched, amazed. The humans did not just survive, they controlled the battlefield. When a trap was triggered, they disabled it, using quick thinking instead of panic. When drones attacked, they redirected them cleverly, sometimes luring them into obstacles they themselves had set. Every move was intelligent, deliberate, and precise. Even the Zrithians began to take note. Warriors who had doubted humans now followed their lead, inspired by the humans' bravery and ingenuity. Ethan had not only survived dangerous situations, he had earned respect through action alone. The first major confrontation occurred near a collapsed tower. A squad of rogue drones ambushed the group, aiming to separate the humans from their Zrithian allies. Ethan acted instantly. He sprinted into the open, drawing attention while signaling his team to split and flank the attackers. A human soldier rolled under a drone's path, knocking it off balance while another disabled its control system. Ethan used a loose metal beam to block a secondary drone, then leapt to higher ground, guiding his team through a narrow corridor toward safety. Zalia could hardly breathe. She had trained warriors for years, yet she had never seen anyone coordinate such a fluid, unpredictable battle. He was fearless, not because he was stronger, but because he trusted his instincts, his training, and the team around him. Corin, the elite Zrithian warrior, now fully realized the human's capability. He moved quickly to intercept Ethan, hoping to stop the human from leading the team to the energy core. But Ethan anticipated him. He sidestepped a strike, used Corin's momentum against him, and created space for his team to advance. The humans and Zrithians reached the central platform together, but the rogue drones launched a final coordinated attack. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the ground shook under the drone's force. Many warriors hesitated, but not Ethan. "Form a circle," he shouted. "Protect the core and hold your ground." Each human moved instinctively, covering both teammates and Zrithians. They anticipated attacks, blocked paths, and coordinated strikes with perfect timing. Ethan himself leapt into the thick of it, disarming drones, redirecting hazards, and keeping his team safe. Zalia watched in awe. This was no longer about skill, it was about courage, leadership, and the human spirit. She had laughed at the stories of human warriors once, thinking them myths. Now she realized that humans were not just capable, they were extraordinary. The drones were finally neutralized. The energy core was secured. The humans and Zrithians had survived the greatest challenge yet, not just through strength but through strategy, quick thinking, and unwavering courage. A wave of silence washed over the battlefield. Then, one by one, the Zrithian warriors began to clap and cheer. Even Corin stepped forward, bowing deeply to Ethan. "I have never seen a warrior like you," he admitted. "Are your species?" "I misjudged. Truly, humans are remarkable." Zalia descended to the platform, her expression serious but filled with admiration. She approached Ethan, who was calmly checking on his teammates. "Captain Drake," she said, her voice steady, "you have proven yourself beyond doubt. Not just as a warrior, but as a leader. Your courage, intelligence, and ability to inspire others, it is remarkable. Humans are not myths, they are heroes." Ethan nodded, politely but humbly. "Thank you, Commander Zalia. We do not seek praise. We fight to survive, to protect, and to help those who fight with us. That is what makes us strong." Zalia smiled faintly. For the first time, she felt the full weight of the legends she had once mocked. Humans had survived in the galaxy against impossible odds, not because they were physically stronger, but because they adapted, persevered, and inspired courage in others. That evening, Zalia addressed the Council of Zrithian elders. She spoke of the humans' bravery, intelligence, and leadership, She recommended forming permanent alliances and combining Zrithian and human training techniques. "We have underestimated humans for too long," she said. "They are not only capable warriors, they are teachers, leaders, and allies in ways we cannot ignore." The council members, initially skeptical, listened carefully. The evidence was undeniable. Humans had survived the greatest challenge yet, and their ingenuity had saved not only themselves but also Zrithian warriors. A new understanding began to take root. Later that night, Zalia walked through the city with Ethan. The streets were quiet, but she could feel the energy of lessons learned and respect earned. "Captain," she said softly, "I once laughed at the tales of human warriors. I thought them foolish stories meant to entertain children. But now I see the truth. Humans fight with courage, intelligence, and heart. You have shown me a new way of looking at the universe." Ethan smiled. "Thank you, Commander. We do not fight to prove myths. We fight because it is necessary, and because we believe in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. That is what makes us human." Zalia nodded. She felt a deep respect and a growing sense of camaraderie. Humans were no longer outsiders. They were allies, teachers, and warriors worthy of admiration. The next day, training resumed, not as a competition between humans and Zrithians, but as a combined effort. Humans and aliens trained together, learning from each other's strengths. Zalia watched with pride as her warriors adapted, inspired by the humans' courage and ingenuity. For the first time, the laughter that had once filled Zalia's thoughts when thinking of humans was gone. It had been replaced with respect, admiration, and hope. The galaxy, she realized, was larger and more dangerous than anyone could imagine. But humans were proof that courage, intelligence, and perseverance could overcome even the most impossible challenges. And as she looked at Ethan and his team, Zalia knew one thing with certainty. Humans were no longer myths nor merely legends. They were warriors, extraordinary warriors whose courage and skill would be remembered and honored across the galaxy. The stars shone brightly above Zrith that night, and in the hearts of all who had witnessed it, a new legend was born. A legend of humans, not weak or small, but fearless, clever, and unstoppable. The laughter of disbelief had ended. A new story had begun. Humans had earned their place among the stars.